Not just decoration. We are transformation. In the beginning was a garden.
This is Garden Studios. Welcome home. This is Garden Studios. Welcome home.
Welcome to another episode of Garden Studios podcast. My name is Paul, and to my right is my American citizen wife, Mattel.
Yes!
And we have part of our Gardens team, Christine Bover. You've seen her before. She's amazing. So today we're going to start off, as always, with our word of the day. Why don't you talk about that, babe?
Okay, so for the word of the day, it is called hog grief.
Hog grief. Okay.
Yes. Which is a noun, and it's an officer that's in charge of impounding stray hogs.
Amazing. I didn't know that was a thing. People get paid to do this.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
Wow.
you know, the animal control.
Right. But for specifically for pigs.
For stray hogs.
Stray hogs. Now, for our viewers that
Wow.
are only watching this for the first time, this is a game we play throughout the podcast. It's called Word of the Day. Whoever uses the word of the day first, within context of our conversation, wins the word of the day. So today, babe, what does the word of the day winner win?
Today's word of the day winner
Wins a hog.
a hog.
So we're in Redding, California. We're surrounded by
Do they have
beautiful
hogs
farms.
here?
Yeah.
100%. And if we don't, we'll find one. And
I
one
don't
of us
thi-
will get a hog.
Wait, have you guys ever found the hog in Trader Joe's?
What do you mean?
So in our Trader Joe's, I don't know if this is a thing everywhere. There's like a little hog, or it's
Okay.
a wild boar. I may be getting it confused, but there's a little stuffed animal, and by the front desk, there's like a sign that says "Wanted," and you win a lollipop if you find the hog around the store, and they
Wow.
move
Funny.
it, and it's for kids. But I found
Is this
it
like a
one
stuffed
time.
animal?
Yeah, I was just looking at
Oh.
coffee, and then there was like the hog there, and I was like,
Oh, you found it.
yeah, but I didn't turn it in because I was embarrassed because it's for children. But
Gotcha. I would have turned
I
it in.
wanted the lollipop. I love a Trader Joe's lollipop.
You should have been like, hey, I found this, and I think one of the kids lost it. And be
Just
pretend like I don't know.
And they're like, oh, here's a lollipop.
That sounds great. I never knew that they had like Trader Joe branded lollipops. It must
Yeah,
be so good.
They're really good.
Yeah.
I'm the hog grieve of Trader Joe's.
Oh my gosh.
You impound it. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that was the fastest word of the day
I think last time.
win ever. Well, someone else did this though.
Yeah,
No, but we're still in the segment of explaining word of the day. Well, there you go. You win a hog. We'll find a way.
I didn't know that would count.
Now it might come in
funny.
pieces. Like maybe one day will come with like bacon,
Okay.
and the next day will come with like pork shoulder.
Great.
So it'll come in within in it's like a payment plan for your entire pig.
Got it.
So
that was so fast.
I know I'm
like,
a little shook too. That
so-
was really good.
I didn't think that would count. I thought I
The
was
girl
just
that
adding
counts.
to the
It
conversation.
used it.
Wow.
That was great. Good
okay.
job. Yeah, let's clap it up.
Because we were thinking this would be a difficult one to actually.
I know, but that was great. So today we have a subject that we want to talk about that's very relatable to, I would say, every creative, whether you're a musician, writer, painter, whatever whatever you do. I think this is something that you probably dealt with one way or another in your creative journey. So what are we talking about today, babe?
Today's topic is artist block.
Artist block. So what is artist block?
Artist block is when a creative, or if you're a musician, artist, or a painter, or a writer, like you lose motivation or you just don't know what to do. Like your mind kind of, like it says, gets like blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel stuck. You don't know. You're halfway through a project and you don't know what else to do or like how to continue or finish it. So
Right.
you just get stuck.
I guess a good way to approach this conversation is to talk about what causes artist block. For me personally, one thing that really accelerated artist block for me was I used to draw and paint a lot, and when I started doing it, like I started doing like, what do you call it? Commissions.
Commission pieces.
I started doing commissions, and they would be like, okay, I want a hamburger, and on the hamburger I want a flag, and on the flag I want this to say my so and so's initials, and under the initials I want my initials, and it's like oh my gosh, this is like not fun for me.
Was that real?
No, that was actually real. I hope they're not listening.
Actually
That was
real.
literally a commission piece that I did. And I found that when I was doing things that was no longer fun for me, when I was doing it just to make money, it put me on a block, put me on an artist block. So that's one way to do it. Do you guys have anything from your story or from your history that caused artist block?
Yeah, for me, I feel like actually seasons where I'm going through maybe something difficult more with like my family or just like kind of on the sadder end. Like if I'm experiencing greater levels of sadness,
Right.
I tend to not be able to create as well, which actually has been quite frustrating for me because when I've been going through those seasons and I'm recently coming out of that, most people are like, use the sadness to write. And I'm particularly a songwriter and a singer. And so many people, when even talking to other creative friends, they're like, use that. That's the best time to be writing.
Yeah.
That's the time, like, you should be, like, pouring into your lyrics. But
Yeah.
for me personally, like, I'm the most creative when I'm doing well and I'm happy. Like, in seasons of, like, being, like, sad or dealing with a lot of, like, turmoil,
Right.
it's not my best creatively, which I feel like is the opposite of a lot of, like, singer-songwriters. They tend to really thrive during those seasons, and then when they're good, they can't create as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been actually getting out of that season, so this is quite relevant to me. Yeah, in those seasons that I was like really like just sad, thinking about like how am I gonna like actually do something with this?
Right.
Because I don't want everything I do to be marked by that.
Right.
And then experiencing like people around me being like, that doesn't make sense. This should be your most creative time.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
When
so,
I just feel the opposite.
so when you're going through a hard time, like you just don't have like your creativity kind of is like runs dry.
Yeah, I just like don't like to do things. Like when I'm kind of sad, I'm more of like, let's get stuff done, let's be productive, but creating kind of goes on the back burner a little bit. So yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get into like ways to like get out, but
For sure.
I have some ideas and stuff that I've been kind of walking through, and thank God I'm on the other side of a season of that, of how to be like creative and really like get out of that funk of like that artist block when you're kind of experiencing the opposite of what other people tell you should be experiencing.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of like kind of finding your creativity, walking past like a hard time right now.
Yeah, so thankfully I'm kind of coming out of a difficult season. But during that, I kind of just found myself like just not wanting to really like address any of the parts that were like going on like within me. So I didn't want to create because I was like, I just don't want to like deal with this stuff. But for me, like part of what started getting me out of it was addressing like, hey, this is my identity. Like I am a singer and I'm a songwriter. And if I go through this season, like this difficult time and don't get in touch with who I'm created to be, I'm like the other episodes that you guys have talked about, burnout, like I'm going to start fully falling apart if I'm not actually doing the things that I'm called to do. And like God created me to do these things. Like it's not just like fun for me. I mean, it is, but like I know that's like innately part of my design. So I started almost like forcing myself, like I have to sit and do this because I know that if I don't, like I'm going to start like dying, like inside. That sounds so dramatic, but honestly, creatives, like we get it. Like when you're not creating and you're not doing what you were supposed to do, you start like dying, like pieces of your start like either then you'll start getting anxious or you'll start getting really stressed out and you'll probably be wondering like, why am I like this? And I feel like actually in seasons when you're experiencing like artist block, that starts happening. Like that's a side effect. Like if you're not like creating, because then it's easy when it's not flowing to just stop entirely. And then during those seasons, you'll probably notice yourself start like being a little bit more down than you normally are, or feeling like depleted, or like starting to feel that burnout. And it's because you're not doing the things that you were created to do, like the things that bring you life.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. So it sounds like for you, when you're going through the hard season, back to that part, like,
Yeah.
it sounded like you just really had to bring discipline onto the table.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, I don't feel like doing this, but I'm going to do this. And also, it sounds like you're doing a little bit of like affirming yourself, like, hey, this is what I do. I'm called for this. And so just speaking life into your identity, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like because like how you have different reasons that artist block came up for you, and like we all just have different reasons of how we get there.
Yeah.
I feel like there's certain strategies to like get out of it that are quite universal. Like it doesn't really, you don't need to go into like the details of like why you're experiencing it. It's like, yeah, you're there. Like when you're at artist block and like, or for us like writer's block, I'm like, oh, like I don't have anything else. Like I think there's some just like key steps to getting out of it that are quite universal.
Yeah, for sure. For me, so I got into that block, I was, I think, like 19 years old. I got out of it when I was 27.
Ooh.
And so there was an 8-year span that I didn't write one song. I didn't draw. I didn't do any paintings. I didn't do anything.
For 8 years?
For 8 years. And all I did, so another thing that I'll call is writer's block, which is, so it started off as the commission thing, and I wasn't having fun with it, so I stopped completely. And what perpetuated that writer's block and kind of, lengthened that period was my busyness. I was so busy. I was working multiple, no, at that time I was only working one job, but at the end of that 8 years, I was working like 2 jobs. But yeah, I was so busy, and I would only get 4 hours of sleep. And it was until we moved here in Reading where someone gave me a prophetic word when we got here, and she was like, the Lord wants to paint with you. Like, God wants to paint with you. I'm like, oh, thanks. I don't do that anymore. And so I went through this journey of just finding my creativity again. And I'm trying to think back, like, how did I start again? Oh, well, it started with gardens, really.
I remember this.
We just started inviting people, right?
Well, first what happened was you actually raffled off your Xbox.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's okay. So I was a gamer. I was a hardcore gamer.
Story time.
So when we moved here, I was always a good gamer growing up, and when we moved here, we actually didn't have a job. So I had all the time in the world to play video games. It was great. What a sweet season. I loved it. However, I didn't do anything else but play video games. And it wasn't until I sold my Xbox, I was like, hey, I need to get rid of this thing, where I started dabbling with creativity, my creative hobbies again. So that's another thing is distractions, huh? Sometimes distractions will really lengthen that creative block because your brain is already entertained. Isn't there a study about, I think you were telling me one time about children being bored that actually increases their creativity?
Yes. So one of the biggest things, because I studied occupational therapy, is that children, actually imagination and play is part of developmental growing because it helps them with problem solving and they get creative with like solutions. So when they're bored, they come up with games. So they play like dress up, or they'll like play with whatever is there. But if you just like give them like a iPad, I'm not like judging parents who do that.
Not coming for the iPad kids.
Yes, I'm just like telling like, and they're just like get very stimulated, so they don't need to like kind of come up with games and stuff like that. So that's what
that's really interesting
talking about.
And what I've learned from just like doing a little bit of research is that there's 2 different types of thinking. There's convergent thinking and there's divergent thinking. And convergent thinking is when we think through like we think very analytically, very what's it called, logically, and we try to break things down like let's say doing math or something, or doing problem solving, or like anyways. And then the divergent thinking is more exploratory. Is that a word?
It is a word.
Wow, I'm American. Not yet, but hopefully one day. And it's more imaginative and creative. And I think a lot of times the reason why we fall into artist block or writer's block is we try to do art through our convergent thinking. we try to analyze everything. Like, does this line look good right here? No, it doesn't. You erase it. What about right here? Oh, no, it doesn't. If you're writing, I don't really like that line. Maybe let's move that around here. And then at the end, after 2 hours, you don't get anything done. And you say to yourself, I suck. When the truth is, you don't suck. It's just you are using the wrong part of your brain. You should use your divergent part of your brain, your divergent thinking. And yeah, I think we just need to stop thinking so much. I think a part of it is making it focused on fun focused. I think if you're in a fun mindset where you're just doing this for fun, you're writing for fun, oh, this is fun. It's like there's no bad ideas and everything just flows out of you. I think when we start over analyzing things, we fall into the convergent thinking, and that's when we go into...
It's like perfectionism a little bit.
100%.
I think for me, that's like what gets me in my artist block is like, one thing is like I kind of overthink and was like, oh, I kind of compare myself sometimes, like, oh, I'm not that great of a painter, I'm not that great of a whatever, writing, whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Like, I'll compare myself to, like, Paul, to be honest. And, oh, what's that face? But, yeah, it's, like, kind of, like, fear of criticism, like, oh, why should I try to do it if I'm not that good? And what helped me overcome was just doing it, like, with you. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get anywhere if I don't even, like, try or start. And what I do is different from what Paul's doing or whatever anyone else is doing. So for me, that's kind of what helped me to overcome.
You said something there that's very key. And I think it's another major thing that creates block is comparison. Yeah, I think we talked about it in our previous podcast very little bit. But, like, comparison... is it really does kill creativity. Like, I feel like we're just comparing we shouldn't compare our journeys to other people, you know what I mean? Yeah, another thing is comparison breeds competition, and that just culturally that just gets weird there, because then everyone becomes your enemy. You can't create creative communities if you're in competition with everyone around you, and we make it everyone better, you know what I mean? There's like something that you carry that I need and something I carry that you need, and I think just getting rid of competition and comparison really does help a lot. Yeah.
And it's like what you were saying, like making it fun. Sometimes you just gotta like do it without trying to overthink it, and like not trying to do it like perfectly, just like making those mistakes and like being okay with it. Because then it becomes fun again. It's like, oh, it's actually low stakes, you know? And it takes that pressure off of you, which helps with getting over that artist block.
Right.
Yeah, I feel especially when you start, like, making money with your art, or it becomes, like, starts getting somewhere where it's not just, oh, this is a hobby. And you guys watching probably know this, too, of, like, when your hobby moves into, like, oh, this is your thing. Yeah. Then that's when that keeping it fun part is so important. Because I find myself even, like, teetering on this line of I sometimes don't even find music fun anymore, because it's been, like, so much of, like, a point of stress in my life. Yeah. Because it used to be, like, this fun thing that I just did as a kid, and it was, you know, to help me express myself. But then as it started getting more serious, like, I remember, like, vividly, I was in orchestra as a kid. My first instrument was cello.
Oh,
I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was playing the cello, and I was auditioning to be on this album. My teacher was releasing an album. This sounds like I was really good. I kind of wasn't. So I don't know how I got this opportunity. But I remember just, like, working my butt off, like, every day, just, like, playing and playing and playing. Because I was just, and then it became, like, it was this fun thing for me. And then I was literally, like, sweating every time I played, thinking, like, I have to be better. I have to be better. And if you're familiar with the classical world, that feels kind of like what it's like. Yeah. And I remember not getting the audition. This guy, Calvin, got it.
Dang you, Calvin.
So angry at Calvin.
What's his last name?
I don't know. I just remember Calvin. I was just always annoyed at Calvin, and that stays in my mind. But he got the audition, and afterwards, I remember, like, just to continue playing cello was going to be really difficult. So I just fully quit. Like, I quit the instrument. Wow. I've not played it since that day that I didn't get that audition. And it ended up working out because I picked up singing, and to be honest, I think I'm a better singer than a cellist. Or maybe I would have been, Who knows?
Kept practicing.
Because I didn't keep it up. But all that to say, it's like I wish even back then I could tell like little girl me like, oh, just remember that it's fun.
Right.
And like what it felt like in the beginning. And a big thing that I've been doing recently is listening to music that like excites that part of me, like that like musician part of me. And if you're an artist, I feel like looking at artists that like inspired you in the first place to be an artist. Like I've been like listening to 70s music, which if you know me, I'm like an old lady inside, and I adore 70s music. But that was a big reason why I got into music, because I listened to that a lot as a kid. And recently I've been like diving like heavy into that stuff and like remembering like why I like did this. Like why did I even get into this? Why is this what I do? And it's been like kind of reviving this thing in me and making it easier to like when I'm still kind of blocked and I don't feel like I'm like making the best art that I've ever made, but I'm at a point where I've put the judgment aside. I don't need to like grade my work after I do it. I'm just creating for the sake of creating, because that's what I was made to do. And I'm reminding myself of like why I fell in love with this in the first place, and doing it just because it's fun, not for the outcome, but just for the sake of creating, which I feel like is what God intended us. I mean, the whole point of gardens and everything we're talking about is to come back to the garden, and what is godly creativity and like walking with God supposed to look like. And he cares so much more about the process. And if we even like compare that, like parallel it to our lives, like walking with him, he cares so much more about the process and us journeying and walking with him than the actual outcome. Because I mean, I'm dealing with this too in my life personally. Like, God, I'm so frustrated that like I can't just be okay, which I'm okay. But I mean, I can't be like perfect, honestly. And I'm like, I just want to be like it. And the Lord's been sitting with me and telling me like, what if I just love the process and I love walking with you? Like, what if that's enough? And I think creating with the Lord and coming back to our godly design is creating with that kind of like heart too.
For sure.
Kind of went on a tangent there, but
no, that was great. What are I think we talked about some solutions already for the people that are going through their artist block. One was affirming yourself. Another one was making it fun. Another one, I think we mentioned a third one that I'm forgetting right now.
The discipline.
The discipline, just doing
right.
it. I think also like setting goals, like little goals, like today, like just being practical. Like today I'm gonna write like one line for the song, just like an example. But like giving goals for yourself, like which will help with like discipline.
Measurable goals.
Measurable goals will kind of help with that.
Yeah, that's so good, because I feel like when you make a small attainable goal, saying like I'm gonna write one line, the likelihood that you're gonna write more than one line, because what's really hard is just getting yourself to do the first line. Then like once you get over that hump of like you did it, then you start getting on a roll.
100%.
And that's like the old saying that everybody talks about, like writer's block with, it's like just turn on the faucet. So like when you're running like a pipe that hasn't been like used for a while, some crap comes out first. But you just turn it on and like let it run. So like write the crappy lines.
For sure.
Draw the like, I was gonna say a different word, other crappy painting. Oopsie. But like just do the thing even if it's bad.
For sure.
Because the point is just to turn the faucet on.
100%.
And eventually you'll get to that crisp, nice water.
That crispy, nice pH 7.0. But I had that's a great segue to what I was gonna say is focus on quantity over quality. That sounds crazy. Like growing up, I've always been taught like, you know, quality is better than quantity. But I feel like when it comes to going out of a writer's block or an artist block, you should not focus at all on quality. You should just keep doing it every day. Just keep doing it. Keep grinding or whatever art you do, and because that quality will come because of repetition. The more you do it, you just have to let the bad water out. You're just letting the bad water out. That's the quantity. And then later on, once the bad water is out, you'll start noticing some good water naturally coming out. And it's because your repetition has taken out all the crappiness out of you. You know what I mean? It's just, you'll naturally get better. Don't focus on, being the best. Just focus on just doing it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna say something else. Oh, also another thing that helped me is morning pages. We've mentioned this book so many times and throughout this podcast, but
Artist Way.
Artist Bay, what by
Artist
Cameron?
Way.
Artist Way. What did I say? Did I
Artist
say
Bay.
Artist Way? Like the Artist Way. You take it easy. No, the Artist Way by Cameron.
I don't remember her name.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
We'll put it
We'll put it right
here
there
again.
somewhere.
I'm gonna get it.
But so morning pages is when you first wake up in the morning and you write 3 pages of unfiltered thoughts, just stream of consciousness stuff. And when I first, who was it by?
Julia Cameron.
Julia Cameron, you're amazing. So morning pages is when you write for 3 pages straight, handwritten, stream of consciousness stuff. And what that's taught me is to write things down or put something out without thinking too much. And how that translate into, let's say, art. If I'm drawing now, I don't think as much because I'm not using my brain convergently. Morning pages has taught my brain how to think divergently, where I'm not thinking, I'm more reacting. Like my morning pages could look like, oh my gosh, I just woke up, LOL, didn't use my alarm, oh my gosh, I snoozed 3 times, I gotta poop, I'm so hungry, what am I gonna do today, I'm so worried, I gotta pay the bills tomorrow, I gotta work all. And so it's literally stream of consciousness. That's whatever pops up in my brain, I start writing it. And that really does exercise your brain to divergently think, and it translate also to whatever medium you're playing or whatever type of art that you do. And yeah, I mean that's the biggest tip I have as far as trying to break artist block.
But also for me, I noticed what helps is like getting inspiration from other people. It's like, honestly, it's not like copying, but you watch somebody else's work, or I watch like videos on like Pinterest or something, or if I'm watching like a Korean drama or whatever, it like helps me kind of get my creative juices running, because I'll come up with like an idea, like I'll watch something like, oh, I like that, or a video and like, oh, I like that, but what about this too? So it kind of gets my creative juices running, getting inspired from somebody else.
Yeah.
So even if like you're working on a project, if you're running out of ideas, take a little break, listen to music from somebody you love,
Right.
or watch a movie that you like, and might inspire you to come up with something else.
For sure. Last thing I'm gonna say about artist block is to try different outlets. So if
Yeah.
you're a painter, try doing poetry. If you're a
Oh.
poet, try painting. For me, the way I actually started getting out of a artist block also is I started playing bass. I don't play bass. But I bought this old, remember that bass I had? I ended up giving it to my niece because she's actually great at bass. Jasmine, if you're watching, keep playing bass.
Shout out
You're
Jasmine.
amazing. But when I started playing bass, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a completely different world. And it actually made me want to play guitar more. And so whatever you think, you're used to or you're good at, I would say just to diverge from that and try something that's different. Something that you'll have fun with, and just to explore, because that's what art is, right? It's exploration. So that's my last thing on artist block.
Every time you say Divergent, I'm thinking of that series with Shailene
Yes.
Woodley and Theo James.
Which is great.
And I'm like,
that was a
Dauntless.
great movie. Yeah.
You were dying. But I have one little last thing. That as you were talking about, like, kind of copying other people, I have a little exercise that I've been doing recently
Nice.
that's been, like, helping me, like, get in the flow. And this is, like, a little songwriting tip, but I feel like you can kind of take this into whatever medium. But I'll take a song that I really love that is kind of like a high level of songwriting. Like, for example, like some of my biggest inspirations are like Stevie Wonder, Joni Mitchell. Yeah, like people that are writing with like really like advanced harmony and have really cool melodies. But when I'm experiencing writer's block, I'm like, okay, I can't even get close to writing like this. I can barely come out with like a little melody or whatever. So I'll do like a little challenge where I'll take one of their songs and maybe I'll like play their changes and write my own song over it. Or I'll even like take the melody and rewrite new words over it.
Yeah.
Just as an exercise to like get myself going.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll end up finding a melody in there and be like, oh, actually I can take this and use it.
That's
somewhere
Wow.
else. And then I created a whole thing that's mine, but it was kind of based off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like similarly, if you're a painter, like you could look at a painting that's really inspiring you on like
Right.
Pinterest, start painting that, and then before you know it, you create this whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it started from like kind of copying,
Kinda
but
trying to
like
get
not really.
inspiration.
Like,
Right.
what is that saying of like good artist or like bad artist copy, but like great artists steal?
Yeah. It was about writers. Yeah.
So
Steal.
maybe stealing is okay.
So being a thief is actually the best way. I'm just kidding. So with that being said, just keep creating, guys.
Going.
Just keep going.
Don't
Just-
overthink it.
Yeah. Whatever it is you do, just pick it up. That's it.
Yeah. So we should summarize it because like to
Go
make
for
it
it.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm summarizing in my
See,
head
you're
right now.
Like,
thinking
we
you're
need a
thinking
summary.
convergently right now. Let it just flow out of you.
Sometimes
divergently.
convergent thinking
Uh-huh.
is great.
It
I am a
helps.
big fan of convergent thinking.
This
Right.
helps.
If you're
I'm a
building
little
a
analytical
rocket,
girl.
because I'm just kidding.
So certain ways to overcome writer's block. We said
Affirm yourself.
affirm yourself.
Yes,
So
that's one.
So come back to your identity.
Yes.
So this is a really beautiful thing you can do with the Lord. So if you're experiencing writer's block, have a moment, sit down with God, ask him who he says you are, why he loves
That's
how you
great.
create. I actually do this with my students, all of my voice students, and have like God affirm your identity and ground yourself in that before you create.
Right.
And afterwards, actually, that's really helpful. You do it at the beginning and the end of when you
Right.
create. So affirming yourself.
just doing it.
Making it fun.
Discipline.
Discipline. Making it. You're throwing up gang signs right now.
The
girl.
discipline. Like setting your attainable goals. Like
Measurable goals.
measurable goals. Yeah.
Thinking divergently instead of convergently.
Explain a little.
Thinking out of the place of exploration and imagination rather than logically and analytically. And also focusing on quantity over quality, and do your morning pages every morning.
Every morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also
Discipline.
changing like different mediums of
Right.
creativity
Yeah.
can help. Like a change of atmosphere can help too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Copying people.
yes.
Stealing. Yeah.
Or inspiration if you want to
Right.
say it.
Yeah. But that's the stuff you don't put out. That's the stuff you keep at home.
Right.
Yes, but yes, overall, just keep creating.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
So now we're gonna move on to our next segment, which is viewer questions. Christine, you put out.
Yeah, I did.
Did we get any?
Unfortunately, there's only one question,
Okay,
and
great.
it says, "Why are you so beautiful?" So
Okay, so why don't we go
answer that.
around? Let's go around. Go ahead. You go. Well, should I go first?
we're gonna say, "Why are we so beautiful?"
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, we're
That's-
affirming ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ale, for asking that question. Oh God. No, you go first. Paul.
Okay. Well, where to start? I mean, first of all,
We're affirming ourselves. We're doing year
Um,
one.
shout out to my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
Just giving me the genetics,
The genes.
the genes, genes.
Good genes.
But I'm beautiful. Might cry. I'm beautiful because I'm created in the image of the Lord.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah.
And when people see me, they not only see my physicalities, but they see my spirit, which is in the identity of Jesus, who is the essence of beauty.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
That's beautiful, but the way you delivered it, I'm sorry that I was laughing. But what you said is true.
That is true, though.
It is
Every
true.
single
It is
word is
true.
true.
It is true.
Yeah. What about you guys? Why are you beautiful?
I am beautiful because the Lord specifically designed me the way I am. And thank you to my parents as well, which helps.
Right.
Also, yes. Everything you said. See, I'm taking inspiration.
You're stealing
I'm
what I
taking
said.
inspiration from
Yeah,
what
but
you said.
what's
Great artist,
beautiful
true.
about you, like specifically? Like, yes, God created you beautifully. So, what are the things He created beautifully?
Your eyes.
Oh, like specific things about it?
Yeah.
Let's talk physicalities.
Physicality or your
Physicality.
essence?
Yeah. Can I go again then?
Yeah.
Um.
We're hyping ourselves up, guys. You should do this too. Afterwards, hype yourself up.
Affirm yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sometimes when when I laugh, I scrunch my nose, and I think it's really cute.
Oh.
Okay, what about you? What about you?
I honestly, I'm grateful for my skin.
You have good skin.
Thank you. But yes, I love it.
You do have good skin, babe.
I think it's beautiful. So
Yeah. I really like my eyes. I really love
They're
them.
great. Okay. That was great.
My bug eyes. Yeah, the Lord just created me beautifully. But actually, this is gonna be like serious for a second.
No,
but
this is great.
that affirmation thing that I was talking about, as an artist, I've actually been walking through a journey with the Lord of just doing that for every part of myself. So like my personality, the way I look, like just really like loving every part of myself because Christ loves it, and like asking him to give me his eyes for myself in like all facets. So like my voice, the way I look, like my appearance, my personality. And I think because of that, because I've been asking the Lord for him to give me vision for how he sees me, I'm seeing myself that way. And I feel like I come across like more beautiful because I actually like really love what he created.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a key to unlocking creativity and beauty.
There you go.
Loving what God
who gave
did.
us that question? Let's give him a shout out.
Ale from Argentina.
Oh.
He messages me a lot. Wait, let's see. He's a big fan. He's really a good supporter. Alejandro.
Ale.
He's going to love this. Hi, Ale.
Ale.
He drew a picture of me one time
Oh, wow.
and sent it to me. He always is responding to my stories.
Ale, draw me, okay?
He's one of like my first fans. Like when I like finally like, you know, start putting stuff out, like
Yeah.
he's going to
got
be
fans.
the president of the fan club.
That's awesome.
I'm not even kidding. Like this is
I love
serious.
that.
He's like a consistent, faithful fan.
We all need that in our lives.
We
we all
need
need an
fans.
Ale. So
Yeah.
thank you, Ale.
Who's your Alejandro? Type below.
Type it down below.
Tag
Who's
your Alejandro.
comment.
Yeah. So what we got next, babe?
The last segment is
Whoa, the game.
a challenge called Storytelling Surprise.
Oh, storytelling surprise.
Good.
I can tell you just made that up right now.
I
She
did.
said story telling.
Right.
Like looking for it.
Yeah.
Surprise.
That's amazing. So what does that look like, babe?
So what we're gonna do is we are gonna write one word. So it's gonna be 3 minutes long. We're each just gonna write one word, and we're gonna just keep passing it along, and we're gonna write a story together, just to kind of exercise what we were talking about earlier.
Wonderful. We're opening the faucet.
Yes.
Sweet. So we're just gonna pass this around, right?
Yeah.
Great. All right. So are you gonna have a timer on?
Yes,
How long
I
are we
am.
gonna do this for?
3 minutes.
Yeah, and this
3
is
minutes.
another great example of when you're experiencing artist block. Another thing we didn't mention is inviting other people into your creative process.
Yes.
Yes.
And getting in creative community, which is Garden Studios. Join us IRL soon. But
That's great. What a great segue.
yeah.
Is the timer gonna go?
Ready? 3, 2,
Oh.
1, go.
How much time do we have left, babe?
Oh my goodness.
1 minute. And
This is quite difficult.
Okay, let's do one sentence.
sentence.
One sentence each now. We've got 50
Because we got
seconds
50
left.
seconds left. Mhm. 15 seconds.
Oh, so Mattel's ending on
That's the
our
last
story.
sentence.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Done.
Great. So, should I read this?
Yes.
Okay, so-
Dramatically. Like you need to put some music
sh-
on.
oh,
Like dramatic.
We'll put it in the editing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm going to. Should I do it with like?
Theatrically,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. What type of
With
voice
emotions.
do you guys want? Like I have a like a
Morgan Freeman.
like Morgan Freeman, or do you guys want like Your love is devoted like a string of solid gold.
If you can read it like that.
Okay,
I'll
so
be
like a
very
witch.
impressed.
That's my witch voice.
I'm triggered. Witches are real.
Okay. Let's do this. This is another challenge. If whoever laughs loses. Okay.
I'm gonna lose.
If you laugh, honestly,
very good at this
will
game.
be our last podcast ever. I promise you. If someone laughs.
Well, bye.
Ready?
R.I.P.
You're already laughing. Hold on. Whew.
In the beginning.
Why do you sound
This is our last
Indian?
podcast. In the beginning was the wildest hog princess.
No, Paul. I don't think you are gonna understand the story. I think we need a different voice.
Different voice, okay.
Do it in English.
Just do it regular. How about
British.
that?
British accent.
I don't know
But
how to do
British, like
British.
from Essex.
Okay. here we
Love.
go.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I know.
In the beginning was a wildest hog princess who loved frogs. She ate all the hogs. Oh no, she was eating them all vigorously. But then she repented and changed her ways. Now she is a
Person?
what?
Person.
What'd you write? Now she is a person and opened a hog orphanage. What was his accent? And she loved all the hogs and friends as friends. So she
Amazing.
ate them
Right.
and then she loved them. And this is the story of Saul to Paul.
Oh my gosh. Connecting all
Turns
the
back
dots.
to the Bible.
Amazing.
Wow.
We just wrote a story.
A story. A short would this be on a kid's book? Would it be like
Yeah.
a children's book?
Yes, with
Awesome.
a moral
So this book is called Hog Princess. Coming to the
from the Hogreaves publication.
there we go. Coming to the nearest
She did
Barnes and
that.
Nobles near you.
Amen.
Well, that being said, thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Garden Studios podcast. We love you.
Yes.
Yeah, be sure to follow on all our social media platforms.
We
We're
got-
on
Spotify, TikTok,
YouTube,
Instagram,
Pinterest,
YouTube, Pinterest.
Reddit,
We're on Reddit. We're
Facebook,
on Quora,
Quora.
Quora,
Facebook,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
So any social media that you have, go find Garden Studios and
And
support
Snapchat.
us. Yes. We're on all
Facebook.
of them. All absolutely
And
all
it
of
helps
them.
if you subscribe.
100%. We love you guys and
Not
toodles.
Not just.
Noodles.
Not just.
Stay for the floating
decoration.
heads.
We are transformation. Transformation. In the beginning was a garden.
This is Garden Studios. Welcome home.